Next, we have a special conversation between two leaders whose work has truly taken them to great heights. It is a great privilege to announce our first guest, former Chief of the Indian Air Force, Air Chief Marshal retired Vivek Chaudhari. With over 4 decades of distinguished service, he has been a key figure in strengthening India's defense capabilities and ensuring the nation's security in the skies. During his tenure as Chief of Air Staff, he oversaw major advancements in India's air defense technology, including the induction of next generation aircraft and the enhancement of operational readiness. Throughout his career, Air Chief Marshal retired Vivek Chaudhari has held numerous command and staff appointments, earning several prestigious awards, including the Param Vishishta Seva Medal, the Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, and the Vayu Sena Medal for his outstanding service. His insights on leadership, innovation, and national security are highly sought after, and we are really fortunate to have him here with us today. Please join me in welcoming Air Chief Marshal retired Vivek Chaudhari to the stage.
Joining him is Mr. M.V. Reddy, the Senior Vice President and Head of Cloud Services at Jio Platforms. Mr. M.V. Reddy has over 25 years of experience in cloud services, digital transformation, and enterprise solutions. At Jio, he oversees cloud innovations across multiple sectors, including IT, BFSI, healthcare, manufacturing, and education. Prior to this role, Mr. Reddy has held senior leadership positions at Cloud4C, Control S Data Centers, and Everon, where his strategic vision and leadership have left a significant impact. He also actively mentors startups, particularly in the edtech space, helping young entrepreneurs navigate the complexities of growth and innovation. In addition, what truly sets Mr. Reddy apart is his unwavering passion for educating the underprivileged, a cause he continues to champion alongside his professional endeavors. Please join me in welcoming Mr. M.V. Reddy to the stage.
Together, they'll share their experiences of leadership, innovation, and what it means to operate quite literally in the clouds. This session is moderated by Class of 25's resident journalist Priyanshi Sharma. Before joining ISB, Priyanshi was a news anchor and reporter with NDTV. She is the recipient of the NT Young Journalist Award and the E4M 40 Under 40 Award, and is currently an independent digital journalist with over 1 lakh followers.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today. And I'm sure that all of you in the audience must be thinking that we have two leaders from two completely different worlds. One from tech and one from the Indian Air Force, who led the Indian Air Force for close to 2 years. But let me tell you that this is a very special panel. Though these two leaders seem very different at the outset, what's similar in their careers is that both of them have been in spaces where innovations are happening every day, where you can't expect what's going to happen tomorrow, and where you have the trust of millions of people across the country. So that's what makes their learnings relevant for all of us to be future-ready leaders, to be leaders who don't get stressed under challenges and can manage all of them effectively. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. And Air Chief Marshal Chaudhari, I want to start with you first. I can't possibly think of a career that's more stressful than the one that you've been in. You've been a defense pilot in the Kargil War. You were a part of Operation Meghdoot. You were a part of all the high-profile operations of the Indian Air Force that we read about in newspapers. So there have to be several challenges and several moments of stress where you had to think on your feet. I want to first understand from you, across your career of close to 4.5 decades, what's that one moment that you still remember in hindsight as your biggest challenging moment?
I think the challenges, like you said, come from all directions. It is how you respond to them, how you've been trained, and it comes out of sheer professional training and education throughout the career as to how to react to various situations. If I want to pinpoint any particular event in my life that has had a decisive effect on the Indian Air Force and the nation as a whole, I think it comes from being at the apex of the form of the Indian Air Force as the chief. I started, like you said, I took over during the peak of COVID, when our not so friendly neighbors were breathing down our necks in eastern Ladakh.
Yeah.
And there were many other challenges that we were facing at that time. So to be able to navigate through unforeseen or uncharted waters,
Yeah.
what one has to do is fall back upon past experiences. Fall back upon not only your experiences, on everybody else's experiences. And that will come from intensive reading, researching, and knowing what everyone has gone through. So what we say in the Air Force is, never learn from others' mistakes first.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yes.
Don't make a mistake which somebody else has done. That means you have not learned adequately. So these are the groundings that we've had, right, like you said, in my 4.5 decades of being in the service, which has helped me navigate through these uncharted waters most of the time.
Right, and we would love to hear from you some anecdotes of how you got out of these moments. Let me give you some context of the time that we're facing at ISB right now. It's the placement season. Some are getting shortlisted, some are not getting shortlisted. So there is, we often get demotivated very easily, but in a profession like yours, where it's a matter of life and death, we can't possibly imagine the scale of the problems that you face. So it would be great to learn from you how you get out of these moments of challenge, moments that are challenging. Because in your profession, even if you think 10 seconds late, it can be a matter of life and death.
Yeah, when you talk about 10 seconds and matter of life and death, an incident comes to mind. It happened almost 30 years ago. The background to narrate to all of you, I have been flying the fighter aircraft for most of my life for the Indian Air Force. And I was flying a fighter aircraft called the MiG-29. And I was taking it through some of its tests and, taking it to the extremes of its flight profile, where I had an case where the canopy, the cockpit canopy that keeps us in, blew away.
Oh.
And I was flying at a speed of just short of 2 Mach, that is twice the speed of sound, at an altitude of about 42,000 feet, where the outside temperature was minus 56 degrees.
Oh God.
And somebody who knows medicine will tell you that it's like, if you've seen, you carry a bag of chips in an aircraft, and when the aircraft climbs, it expands, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening inside the body, and then it suddenly explodes. So there is a thing what called the time of useful consciousness. At that altitude, usually a human being has 5 to 7 seconds to live.
My God.
So you need to take a decision as to what to do now. And flying at that speeds and that altitude did not have many options left for me.
Of course.
I had to put the aircraft in a dive to come down to a lower altitude where I could survive.
Oh.
So, and I did survive. I'm here to narrate the story. So what kicks in any emergency situation or any unforeseen situation is the fight for survival, to preserve oneself. You can always go back and do something again. You're giving this example of placements not happening for some people. Should not be disheartening. There is another day. There is another opportunity waiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Look
not a matter of life and death, as
It's
you
not a
said.
matter of life and death. Okay. Probably the 1 year or the 6 months break that you get may turn out to be a blessing.
Yes.
You get chance to see the world, chance to do something different that you had never imagined before. So this is my one other bit of advice is that don't be disheartened by failures or by sudden drops. It can always happen. It happens to everybody.
Yeah.
It's the will to survive, the will to fight that will take you out of it.
And nobody better to tell us that than somebody who's seen death so up close, as you just explained to us. If stress got the better of you and you took 5 more seconds to decide, we don't want to think about what could have happened. But I'm out of words to try and wrap this story around my head. And I want to come to you, Mr. MV Reddy, now. That, as I said, that you're also in a space that's constantly evolving, where you have to think on your feet to change with the market, to change with the consumer needs, to be able to survive in the market. So my question to you is that as we see the digital transformation happening in India, another aspect that's now coming up as you're leading the cloud technology services at Jio, that cloud technology is rapidly reshaping the technological sphere in India. So I want to ask you, how do you see cloud services playing a pivotal role in India's digital transformation over the next few years, beyond what we've already achieved?
Yeah. Thanks, Priyanshu. So before getting into how cloud actually is going to contribute to future of digital transformation, let us see what happened in last 6 years. Okay. The kind of digital transformation what India has achieved, right? No one else ever achieved in the world. Last 2016, something very, very interesting happened. Okay. That was a base for what all we are seeing today. E-KYC of Aadhaar has started. Earlier it wasn't there. Earlier, if somebody wants a SIM connection or you want to open a bank account, you go manually submit your Aadhaar card or your whatever PAN card or something. Take a photocopy, scan it, upload somewhere, verify. It will take 1 week for you to get approved. You want to open a demat account, open a bank account. That was the process. E-KYC was one thing. And government started UPI in 2016. NPCI conceptualized in 2013, but it was finally launched in 2016. That's the second thing. Well, later, very, very interesting happened. That's the launch of Jio. Okay. Jio came with a very, very ambitious target. First 6 months, I want to acquire 10 crore customers, which no one has ever done globally. Right? That's the first time. So they planned everything, means you have to process 10,000 applications a single day and offer 10,000 SIM cards. So that's how the entire mechanism was planned. So generally, what are Reliance or Jio plans? Everything plans are very big, mighty, and we have demonstrated execution, right? Very, very competent in execution. So we leveraged on this digital transformation, back-end technology of Aadhaar, and we ensured that achieved this target of 6 months. 10 crore customers we crossed in 6 months. And today we have around 47 crore customers. That's one. Okay. Number 2, UPI. Right? When we started UPI, very limited users were there. Maybe courtesy demonetization, people immediately jumped. Okay. So what is a UPI or the payment achieved, right? It is interoperable. Okay. In India, for first 60 years after independence, right, we had approximately 60 lakh POS missions. Okay. Today you have 6 crore, whatever you call, right? You go just scan QR codes.
Yeah.
After demonetization, there are a lot of companies, like it can be Paytm, it can be PhonePe, it can be Google Pay, GP, all these kind of ways. They went and put QR codes pasted across length and breadth of the country. Okay. What India has achieved in first 60 years of 60 lakh POS missions, we achieved 10x in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
See what happened? I'm a merchant. I have PhonePe QR code. You are a WhatsApp user or you are a Google Pay GPay user. You can pay from GPay to my PhonePe. That is interoperable. Nowhere in the globe it happens actually. So next one level ahead, right? So today anybody from, you go to Dubai, Lulu Mall, you can transfer from there to here through UPI. And going forward, what NPCI is doing is, you can give a command on Bhojpuri, okay, and send this much money to so-and-so person, it will get transferred. That's the next version. Okay.
Right.
And Jio has played a significant role in India's digital transformation.
Right.
Okay. There's one more thought, right, when Jio was launched. Okay. We thought when we give data free, okay, so that was the idea, right? When you give data, voice free, people will not speak for 6 hours, 8 hours over phone. But we make data cheaper, but you consume video. You watch YouTube, you watch Netflix, you watch a lot of things. That's what exactly happened. People don't talk 24 hours a day, but they watch more data, right? They consume data by watching videos.
Right.
Exactly 8 years back, okay, we are in 155th position of data consumption globally. Okay. Today, we are the highest data consumption in the world. Okay. That's one. And our per capita is, I think, 30 GB per head in data consumption. That's the highest in the world. And we have high internet speeds with the lowest price. That's what we achieve. Right? Right. So coming to how cloud plays the role, right? So all this, right, whatever technology you speak, everything backend is cloud.
Right. Very
backend
interesting.
is cloud. So
Very
let's come to some application, right? What are the applications cloud can take? Right? Health is one. Okay. I see one major challenge in health. Right? So there is a patient in a hospital. Okay. You have an ICU. You have multiple parameters. You have five different things. Right? You have ECG, you have pulse rate, you have multiple parameters. Right? But doctor is not available. If he's in remote, okay, if all these things can be captured in single dashboard, doctor can see and advise what you have to do. Okay, it is rush, he'll advise the junior doctor what to do or himself can do.
Right.
That is possible using cloud technologies.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll be surprised to know, last week I was in IIT Bombay talking to biosciences professor. I was surprised to know, in last 2 years, there are more than 1 crore e-consultations happening. A lot of rural India, they are bringing the data through various portals, various means, and doctors from metros or doctors from cities or towns, they are consulting. 1 crore consultations happen. That is the power of technology or their cloud is contributing. Similar things happens in agriculture, agri-tech. A lot of us may not know what is happening in agriculture. A lot of drones go, actually check the soil, they take the parameters, understand the soil moisture content or this kind of thing, and suggest when to sow seeds, okay, how much fertilizer to drop, okay. Is it really you need to put pesticides or not? All these things happens using agri-tech. Okay.
Right.
So Geo contributes, I mean, we are part of few agri-tech projects, few tech projects.
Interesting. And you mentioned drones. They're not just changing the way agriculture works, but also defense, if I can come back to you on that. That, you know, just recently I read about India signing a deal with the US to get 34 Predator drones. And we keep hearing about how the Indian Air Force is modernizing its fleet as the need is. So, you, as I have said, at the cost of repeating myself, you've been in the Indian Air Force for close to 4.5 decades. You've seen where we were in the early 1980s, and now you know where we are in 2024. Where do you think, tell us about that comparison, where you started and where we are in terms of technological advancements in the Indian Air Force?
I think the advancements have been on a logarithmic scale. And something which was unheard of or unthought of when we joined services took almost 25, 30 years for it to materialize. A lot of it was science fiction in the 80s, which became reality in this part of the century. Today, the rapidity at which things are growing, it is very difficult to be able to predict. For example, you know, if I may ask by a show of hands, if you genuinely recollect 10 years ago, how many of you had heard this word drone? It was not in our lexicon 10 years ago. Today it is an ubiquitous thing all across the globe. He's talking about agriculture use, we are talking about defense, you know, we're talking
it's
about
in
the ongoing,
photography,
it's there everywhere. Now if I draw a comparison with what Mr. Reddy had to make about the way platform is progressing and the way technology is galloping, it's going to be very hard to predict what a drone can do 5 years from today.
Yeah.
The challenge now is to be able to prepare everybody to accept that it is going to change our life. And let's be ready to adapt to a new way of living.
Right, of course.
Today's news today says Bangalore is going in for, you know, unmanned air cabs.
Yeah.
It will not be too far away when they will be remotely operated.
Yes.
So it's only left to one's imagination how much we are going to utilize them. And here let me draw up to go back into how the Indian Air Force played a role in actually in shaping the drone industry in our country today. It was a Shark Tank event, I would like to say. You know, back in 2017, we initiated a competition. We had called it the Meher Baba drone competition.
Okay.
And we had invested around 17 crores in that, only to be given away as prize money. And we had given a simple challenge to the drone startup industry to be able to have a swarm of 50 drones, each delivering a 1 liter bottle of water to 50 people who are stranded in some flood situation or in some situation.
Okay.
And 3 years down the line, we have companies now that have grown to more than 2,000 crores worth of capital investment. The swarm drones today is the thing that you see. You know, the company which displayed over Rajpath during the beating retreat 2 years ago.
Yes.
And so many others had taken part initially in this competition. So the drones are going to be part of our lives, and it's time that not only the military, the whole world comes to know, and we need to use our imagination as to how best we can utilize them.
Right. And that reminds me that this technology doesn't just help the Indian Air Force in national security, but also we saw during COVID, the Air Force was airlifting oxygen cylinders, essential medicines to make sure that they reach different parts of the country. But that makes me think of another question, that as we are getting smarter with our technology, so are the potential hackers or cyber attackers, as we call them. So when we get more advanced in our technology, how do you think that changes the way we look at national security? How do you think that changes the various ways through which we could think of security threats? Because when there are drones, we've also read news about drone attacks that have happened in India as well. So how do we prepare ourselves from that? Because this changes the possible routes of security threats that we might face.
Let me put it in one way. For a person in the military, for us, our target systems, we look at what we call a center of gravity. You know, that if I target the center of gravity, this, I can cripple the enemy. Okay. So we are always thinking of targeting as, with the center of gravity in mind. In the past, the center of gravity would have been military headquarters, communication centers, and so on.
Right.
Okay. Today, the center of gravities are your critical information infrastructure.
Right.
Preservation of your, where the servers are kept,
Right.
or your communication networks is going to make you win or lose any battle. And as a military strategy, what I have to look at is how do I carry out, distributed denial of services, DDoS attacks as we call it. How do I cripple the enemy? So preserving of your information infrastructure is going to be the key to success in future.
That's very interesting. What you're targeting has changed from just military headquarters to information system. That's very interesting to note. But while we're on the subject of technology, I also, I'm sure all of us would love to understand from you that when you joined, can you share with us one example of something that was impossible in the 1980s from the Indian Air Force's perspective that is now possible only because of technology? It can even be a small thing that you do in your everyday work, but that will be fascinating for us to know.
A very simple thing was my boss never knew where I was because there were no telephones. So
did you like it better back then?
I think those are good times.
All of us would agree with that. But as we talk about technology, I also want to come to you, Mr. MV Reddy, on the similar subject of cyber attackers and hackers getting stronger as we do. So how do you at Jio Cloud Services manage innovation with security? We keep hearing so many stories of data leaks. Just recently we heard of a data leak in Star Health. In January, there was a headline that said that the data of 750 million Indians is up on a website for sale. So we keep hearing this, and that makes us worried about our data. So how do you manage, you have the responsibility of so many people's data, so how do you manage that innovation with security?
Yeah, so I'll take it into two parts. Number one, I address about security. So Jio, we manage, right? We handle data of almost, for our own customers, various businesses, more than 70 crore customer data. So we comply to data governance law. All the data which we store are within country. Right? But a lot of other people, whatever you heard, we saw a lot of other, they maintain data, maybe copy here, maybe outside India also. So we 100% keep data within India. We come to data governance laws, we comply with that. That is one. Second is we also, the entire architecture is designed by keeping security. We call Jio Raksha. It's a security layer. We work with a couple of OEMs and design, see that nobody can intrude into our network. Right? So there is a monitoring, so that alerts comes, so immediately people react. So that is what architecture, because for us data is very, very important, and customer data is with us. We'll ensure that it will not be shared with anyone else without the consent of the customer. So that is one. Next, how do innovation? How we do innovation by keeping all these things into mind. Number one, so apart from whatever our own group companies are there, for example, Jio Finance is there. Okay. So we need to comply with RBI. So, or we have some other third-party customers. So we need to, a pharma customer brings the data and keep it in our data center. Apart from Indian data governance, suppose we also need to comply with Europe as a GDPR, or they follow hard our GXP. We ensure that our systems, our infrastructure, our architecture is designed in such a way, complies with all these things. That's all. Next, what we do, we keep doing in between, regular audits keep happening. We call security audits. And we keep our own people to intrude into our own systems and try. That's another thing. Right? So these are the things we follow. Next, coming to innovation. Right? So, I mean, today you talk of innovation, I mean, Jio is the best example for various innovations what we have done. Right? I mean, recently you should have been saying, how many of you watched today an IPL match on your mobile phone?
All of us.
All of you, right? So probably two, 3 years back, right, or even 4 years back, we used to never watch, right? Mobile is not for watching videos, right? Mobile used to always watch match with the family, with friends on TV. Today it's changed. The way we consume data and consume video has changed. Okay? Right. We envisaged, okay? No one else did, right? We envisaged and we have brought, right? Whether it's today, latest IPL match, right? I think approximately 65 crore people watched. I'm talking of its various formats, right? Whether it is Viacom or whether it is other things, I mean, it's all backend is completely digital stream. Okay. we went ensured that we do the innovation behind and see that we use a combination of hybrid cloud, private plus public cloud. The moment there is an IPL match, my touch hit rate spikes by 10x, right? I ensure that my infrastructure is back and ready for that. We do that, right? Next things we do a lot of co-innovation with various large OEMs like Microsoft or Google and all. Okay. One example I'll give. Couple of years back, Microsoft MS Office was only available in 4 or 5 languages.
Yeah.
So today it is available in 16 languages. So Geo Platforms, we have a company. So we invested on this company which has a lot of regional language conversion. So we work very closely with Microsoft and it's available in 16 languages.
Right.
That is one such example.
Right. Interesting how you're trying to protect the user's interests and their data also. But one thing that I'm stuck on is how we watch cricket on our phones, and that makes me think, Chief Marshal Chaudhari, that watching cricket matches is not a luxury that you have in your profession. You and your teams are far away, possibly even without any access to human life, forget technology or phones on several occasions. So I want to segue a bit to the leadership aspect to understand how you keep your teams motivated in a situation like that. When I think of my work, or I think when all of us think of our jobs, we can directly go up to our bosses and talk to them about what we're feeling, why we're not feeling motivated. But the armed forces are fairly formal and hierarchical in that sense. And added to that is the pressure of being in some faraway land where you have no access to any human contact. So how do you keep the morale up? Of course, the trust of over 1 billion people is with all of you, but how do you keep your team unified and motivated through this?
I think the best motivator is good leadership. Nothing motivates a person better than having a good leader showing him or her the way.
Yeah.
And good leadership will come out of displaying professional competence, commitment to the cause, commitment to the service, courage, and so many other factors. So I don't want to list all of them. Adequate to say that if the subordinates see that there is a good leader who may not be approachable every time due to hierarchical thing, but they are confident that he is going to give them the correct direction.
Right.
They will follow.
Right.
The second issue is what we call, I'm talking again as a pilot, as a fighter pilot. We never fly alone. We fly with a wingman always.
Yes.
Because the wingman always says, I've got your back. You got my back. So we are always, watching each other's back.
Yeah.
That kind of confidence is there when you're going anywhere. You know that somebody is watching your back.
Yeah. And they know you're watching their back.
Yeah. And it is extended even to the families. Our support system is so good that if I have to deploy somewhere for months together, I know that the wife and children are taken care of with the support system that we have at the back. So that is what allows us to do our job without giving much thought as to what could be happening back home.
Yeah. That makes me think that after all these years, there must be some moments that truly touched your heart. Like you spoke about being with your wingman, you spoke about being distanced from your family. Is there any one moment that really stayed with you that we can all learn from?
I think
it could be a moment of challenge. It could be a moment where all of you came together for a larger cause. Anything on that front?
There are far too many to narrate. On the little bit on the sadder side, I think the bad situations are how we come together when we lose a comrade, and that is when we realize what a strong team that we have.
Yeah.
Each one is there to look after the other, and if the same fate befalls anybody else, you know that the team is there always.
Yeah.
So it's working in a team together is what sets us apart. I think that is what we've been taught all our life, that you are a part of a team. There is, and I made this mention, the old adage. They say, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
So that is what we've been brought up with, that we go together always.
So it's the team above you.
Yeah,
You
it's the
can't
team
think of
always,
yourself.
yes.
That's very interesting. But while you mentioned this, we would also love to understand that while you've gotten through such big challenges in your career, you're human at the end of the day. You're an extraordinary human at that, but a human at the end of the day. Was there any moment where even you felt helpless? Any moment where even you felt maybe stumped like most of us do in our everyday life?
No, I don't think so. I think through all the training that we've been through and all the situations that we've encountered, one emerges stronger every time.
Yes.
And you're ready to face any new challenge. More challenges. So you really cannot get stumped or bowled over by a new situation.
You can't afford to get stuck.
afford to get-
But no moment where you felt helpless or anything of that.
Not
sort.
really. No.
That is very, that's why I said an extraordinary human like that. But looking back, sir, what would you call the highest moment of your career? Of course, as the Chief of the Indian Air Force, that's the highest moment of your career from what we see. But from your sense, what was that period of your life that was the highest moment where you learned the most? And if you can possibly share some of those lessons with us, any anecdotes, any stories that we can learn from?
Once again, we're talking about teams, and I don't know if how many of people have seen or heard of the aerobatic team that the Indian Air Force has, the Surya Kiran aerobatic team.
Yes.
So I can proudly say that I was the founder member of the team back in '92. That experience really taught us how to work real close, because we are actually flying close.
Yes.
And the team works together. So apart from that, like you mentioned when introducing me, I've been a part of a large number of operations that the Indian Air Force has undertaken. In each of the operations, we've learned how we can overcome the situation surely by commitment, by dedication to the cause. And if each one of us together in the team are all pulling in the same direction,
Right.
we can really achieve wonders.
Right.
Okay. So that is the most important thing, to identify who's the one team member who's not pulling in the same direction.
Then you work on that
Then
link.
you work on that and ensure that we are all, going the same way.
The focus on teamwork is truly inspiring, sir. But as you mentioned, the various missions that you've been a part of, I'm sure all of us are inspired by your journey. But are there any stories that you would like to share with us from the Kargil War, which you were a part of, you were flying there? Anything that you want to share with us, that the one moment that still stays with you, or where you learned the most from?
First of all, I must give full credit to the Indian Army, who was facing the brunt of the war there,
Yes.
actually facing the shelling and the firing. I had an aerial view of the war. We were carrying out missions from above. But even then, we were still faced with, the probability of getting hit or getting hurt. What once again kept us going and motivated everybody on the ground, the troops on the ground, the Army in particular, was once again good leadership. With a clear sense of purpose, a clear sense of direction, and a commitment to the nation's cause. So I'll keep repeating, we are at the leadership seminar, so this is what can win wars.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
Good leadership and teamwork.
Teamwork.
Any moment that you remember from back then?
I think it is the same. We've had, at that time, one of my predecessors, the Chief of Air Staff, who went down to the field units trying to, not give pep talks, but just tell one simple statement to everybody, that you just do your bit for the nation. Okay. So that was enough motivation for everybody in the field there.
That's truly inspiring. We keep hearing pep talks that go on for hours, but your boss just told you one word, one line, and that was enough to motivate you. That is truly inspiring, and that somewhat tells us how your life is so much different from what the kind of life that we live. And we keep hearing, sir, of how the habits and the lifestyle of people in the armed forces is extremely hard. Their habits, their everyday habits and their daily routines are extremely hard for people like us to replicate in our lives. And I'm not saying that we should even try to do that. That's completely not practical. But when you see future leaders here, and if you want to give out a message to them, if you have to talk about 2 or 3 things that we can imbibe from the life of somebody in the armed forces, some habits or something that we can inculcate in our lives to be better future leaders.
So it's back to the same. Firstly is, of course, discipline.
Yes.
I can keep speaking till it's past lunchtime on why it's necessary to have, disciplined force. And when I say discipline, it comes in various forms, whether it is, not merely following orders, but it's a way of life.
Yeah.
Doing the right thing, whether anybody is watching or not.
Yes.
That is most important. The other thing is commitment to your task or having a clear mission. In our services, every day, every morning, we start our briefing. On the slide board, the first thing on top is mission. What is the mission for it? And then we go on to, who's going to take part in the mission and so on and so forth. And at the end of the mission, when we come back for the debrief, the first thing that is on the slide is mistakes made and lessons learned. And we very openly admit our mistakes in front of my subordinates. I may be the chief of the air staff, but last month when I flew a sortie and I came back and the co-pilot asked me, "Sir, what were the mistakes you made?" I said, "Okay, I did this, I forgot this checks.
Oh.
I didn't do this." Admitting to your own mistakes is a huge thing that I think people can learn. Okay. And admitting in front of your subordinates that I went wrong, you don't do it.
That might hurt some people's ego.
Yes.
But the biggest mistake we can make is to not accept our own mistakes. That is an important lesson to take away from this. Mr. M.V. Reddy, if I can come to you on the same question, that when you talk to future leaders here, any lesson, any advice that you have for them to become future ready?
Okay, so I would like to, I meet a lot of students when I go to B schools. I know you're all more experienced students, but when I talk to students and ask what kind of job you want, most of them, right? They say, we want to do something related to strategy, product strategy, number one. And we want once in a while travel, okay, and work-life balance.
Yeah.
Even we are not even started working, we start work-life balance. I tell them very clearly, right? There is no any job like that actually. Okay. I know most of you, all of your experience, and again restart your careers. Okay. But my suggestion is whatever career you take up, right? First, stay grounded. Meet your customers, right? It can be any kind of business. Meet your customers. Understand customer pain points, what exactly your service or product is, what you are offering to them. That is important for you to know what exactly is happening on the ground, because shortly you will become a manager, right? Initially you will be like a management trainees working in various departments. Okay? Then you go back and lead as a manager. Okay? But you should know your end customer, what exactly is happening, so that you know that field related issues or whatever is the challenges when you want to crack a deal, especially sales, okay, and product competition related things, okay. And you can become a better manager. That's one. Okay. Next is, for me, according to me, hard work pays well, okay, and you work on a plan, otherwise your plan doesn't work, okay, and stay committed. Okay. These are the things I suggest to all of you.
Right. And importantly, one should not be scared or afraid of everything. As so you mentioned that in your case, the only thing you could be afraid of is death, and you even left that fear behind. So when you left that behind, we should also not be afraid of anything. Is that an advice that you'd like to give future
Absolutely.
leaders?
Don't be scared of failure. Don't be scared of committing a mistake which is not going to cost lives. Okay.
Right.
You can always bounce back.
Right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We now open the floor for just a couple of questions that we can take from the audience. Do we have any questions anybody wants to ask? Sorry, we'll just be able to take 2 questions in this session due to the schedule.
I can say one small example. We work with Geo very well actually. And then I'll ask the question. Okay. Sure. The Indian Prestige Temple TTD, okay, which recently built the cloud services for, especially for Geo platforms. Okay, I hope it's like a Flipkart or kind of an Amazon. More than that, if they want to book darshan tickets, within 20 minutes it got closed actually. The best way of managing cloud services, Geo platform, very excellent way actually. Every day almost 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs people used to visit the website, more than that. Especially security perspective, really they have done very good implementation actually. But in case, okay, there is some medical system got hacked by some of the Amazon systems, okay. So what is the strategy generally like today in Indian public services, like, what kind of solution you can make still they are in sandbox stage, okay? Still they're not moved to next level actually. So what, as a geo platform side, what do you suggest? What kind of security things they need to take care of the government actually?
Yeah, so there is a mighty has suggested a guidelines. If you are a government department, right, so if you ensure that your data is hosted on a cloud which is mighty empaneled, and that guidelines itself will take care of all these threats, cyber threats or fraudulent people getting into your network. So that is one. Right. Number two, do regular audits. Okay. Regular audits. Number three is our own manpower. If they are not trained well, okay, they will. Most of the times, the cyber attacker who has coming to your network only because of ignorance of some of the employees, because of phishing happens only through that. Ensure that you do regular trainings to all the employees, and do cyber drills, cyber security drills. These are the things if you do.
Right.
99% of the times your data is protected.
Right. Any one quick question for Air Chief Marshal Chaudhary? Just one question, please.
Hello panelists, I'm Zahra Arif. My question is to Vivek sir. Like you were mentioning, drones are now working in the sector of natural calamities in times of need, right? I know such a company called as Impact Innovators. They're working towards the same cause. What is your opinion in the drones' reliability, and what do you think is the future in the sector?
Like I told you, it's up to your imagination how you can use it, how you can use the drones. This swarm drone technology is something here to stay, and ability to control multiple hundreds of drones to carry out same or different tasks at the same time is where the future is. Okay. So I think it's just not having AI-based platforms that can control drones. It is left to human imagination also as to how best you can utilize them.
Thank you so much, sir.
Right. An important message to end this incredible discussion with. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been an honor to share the stage with you. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Pleasure. An absolute honor. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Air Chief Marshal retired Vivek Chaudhary and Mr. M.V. Reddy for such a fascinating session. It's clear that whether in defense or in technology, leadership knows no boundaries. We would now like to present our esteemed panel with a token of our appreciation for their invaluable insights.